All right.
I want to start by saying that I love Priority as a company. They make great quality bikes and have a great team of people that always respond quickly to my emails. I was first introduced to their super awesome low maintenance bikes after watching one of Ryan Van Duzer's videos, and I was hooked. I got the Apollo last April and have put about 1,000 kilometers on it since then. However, it hasn't really been happily ever after for me. I think it's a great bike, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it, but I don't think it's the best bike for my needs. At the time, I was in the market for a gravel adventure touring bike to get me around Japan. I'd been riding drops for a long time, so I figured the Apollo would be a great all-purpose bike that I could use here for everything from road riding to light touring. I was a bit wrong. Here in Japan, there aren't a lot of non-paved roads to ride, but there are a lot of hills. The only time I get to ride off-road really is when I need to cut through some rice fields and use their dirt, gravel farm roads. And then besides that, even most of those are paved, so my actual off-road riding time is only maybe like 20%. So my adventuring needs aren't quite the same as they would be in the States or elsewhere. Most of my time, I do day rides around my local area, around 30 to 40 kilometers on average, but I'm wanting to do more overnighters and multi-day rides. Since getting the Apollo, I have done one overnighter. I had about 20 kilograms of stuff loaded onto the Apollo and planned to ride about 150 kilometers around the Noto Peninsula with a friend. It didn't quite go as planned though. We got about 80 kilometers done the first day in about 8 hours, so not very fast. But by the time we stopped, my knee was a bit swollen and sore, and my ring and pinky fingers on my left hand were completely numb. But we managed to set up camp at a free campsite with almost nobody around, and we enjoyed some of the most beautiful views I've had camping in Japan. The second day, we cut our ride short and found the easiest way back, which was still about a 40-kilometer ride that at that point I think took us 6 or 7 hours. We really took our time then. It was after that trip that I started to realize that the Apollo, while being a great bike that I absolutely love, wasn't quite suited for my needs here in Japan. The route around Noto was a bit hilly. It's nothing crazy. I think the highest peak we climbed was like 120 meters. But the grade of those hills and the lack of gears on the Apollo is really what did me in. From Komoot, the route looks relatively flat. There are only a few peaks in places, and I think the average ascent of most of those is about 5% and lasting for a good half a kilometer to a kilometer in some places. And then couple that with the massive headwinds that you get riding along the coast and the extra 20 kilograms on my bike and myself just being a heavier guy in general, I had to really work to get up those hills, which really hurt my knee. Since then, I've begun a somewhat arduous journey of trying to modify my Apollo into something that would work a bit better here. So the first modification was to try and help prevent my fingers from going numb while riding. The stem that came with my large frame was 100 millimeters. I replaced it with a 60 millimeter stem The reach on the Apollo was already more than any bike I'd ridden before, and that stem just made it more exaggerated. It was still a little too stretched out, even with the 60. It seemed to work for a while, but the numbness persisted, and it led me to change it yet again to a 60 millimeter riser stem, which helped kind of lift my hands a few centimeters and then alleviate some of that downward pressure I was feeling on my palms. I also tilted the handlebars up slightly at that point, giving me another couple centimeters. So overall, I had a much more upright position, but I was still reaching too far. Overall, it felt better, but it was still stretched out and the numbness still persisted. At this point, I had to return to Seattle. So while I was there, I was able to use my company's bike for a while, which has flat handlebars. So after years of riding drops, this was the first time I'd actually ridden a flat bar in a while, and I was really surprised at how comfortable it felt. So I decided when I got back that I should make the switch. I should just go from drops to flats. So when I got back to Japan, and after I did my 2-week quarantine, I had to go and get all the stuff to switch the Apollo to a flat bar gravel bike now. And by that I mean an 80s mountain bike. I still kept the short riser stem, which helped lift my upper body a bit, and it all worked to help relieve a lot of pressure on my hands. I replaced the priority brifters that came with the bike with standard lever brakes and the Alpine SL700 shifter, which is designed for the Alpine 11 hub that comes with the Apollo. For the handlebars, though, I first got I think they're pronounced Nitto B814s. They kind of look like a bat wing, but I didn't quite like them. They had a good design to them, and they felt nice. I think the angle of the handle position was good, but the utility of the bars wasn't good. They have a little nubbin that sticks out just above the flat bar that attaches to the stem, but it's not useful for anything because of the way that your brake levers and your shifter have to go in there. The cables run straight past that, which prevent you from being able to use it as like a hand grip or put any kind of adapters on there for, computers or cell phones or anything like that. So after using those for a little while, I stumbled across a Velo Orange Crazy Bar on Mercari one day, and so far they've been great. It's about the same angle. I think they're a little more extended out, so they have a wider hand grip, but they have horns that come out of the top and make it a lot easier to use different hand positions. And so far I've been using those for a couple months now, and I haven't had hand numbness at all. So with one problem fixed, the next would be a bit trickier, and I haven't gotten there yet, but I plan to. So I'm still not able to tackle many hills around here, especially loaded up with gear. So my next step will be to upgrade the sprockets. I plan to get a bigger sprocket for the rear, going from 24 to 26 teeth, and then a smaller sprocket for the front, going from 50 to 46. And I emailed Priority about this, and they said that change in gear ratio won't affect the belt at all, and will work for the Apollo, at least for my large size Apollo. My hope is that this will give me enough lower overall gear ratio to tackle the hills better. I still don't know when I'm going to order these, but probably not until closer to spring, because I'm just not going to ride that much, especially longer rides or hilly rides. I'm not gonna do that much over winter, especially once the snow starts here. But overall, if I had to do it again, and knowing my needs and the area a bit better, I think I would have gone for the 600 or 600X. I don't really need the ruggedness of the 600X, but I like the look of it. I think it's a much cooler bike. But either would be fine here, I think, especially with the Pinion gearbox having such a much bigger gear range. So that's all I got. Thanks for watching, and I hope this was informative and interesting.